Okay, I think we are ready right here. Okay, let's get started. Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Danny here from California. Good to see you again. We do this session on real estate investing every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, California time, where we talk about real estate investing, shockingly enough. This session is open to the public. You are most welcome to bring your own questions regarding real estate investing. I hope I'll be able to answer them. Your questions are most welcome, relevant to the topic that I typically bring, and it can be questions on other topics as well. I do it in English because this is open to the public and we get participants watching the live and the recording from different parts of the country, different parts of the world actually. So it's always a pleasure, and that's the main reason. If you're asking yourself why I'm doing it in English, that is the reason, and I'm based in California. This recording will be available here on Facebook after we're done for viewing. It also goes at the same time. We're streaming it right now to YouTube, and can pick it up. We're doing the podcast as well. All three channels at the same time, so you can consume and benefit from this information however suits you best. YouTube, Facebook, and on our podcast. Good. I have my topic, which is going to talk about using the current times to benefiting you from buying, and probably going to take about 10 minutes or so. And throughout, you're most welcome to bring your own questions regarding the topic or regarding real estate investing. I'll be happy to address them as well. Perfect. Let's get started with today's topic. And I wanted to do it short and simple and talk about how can you benefit from the current times we are seeing, in the real estate, in the U.S. real estate. I'm only talking about the U.S. real estate. So what are we seeing right now? We're seeing probably an emerging two periods. It's real estate. It's hard to see the trends as they're happening. It's easier to see trends, once they're behind us. We are seeing a seasonal trend, and we're seeing economical trend. The seasonal trend is that during October, November, December, January, mainly November and December, typically there are less, real estate tends to, not everywhere, but there's a tendency to slow down. Why? A lot of the U.S. homes, households are very busy with the holiday season. Okay, we see it with Thanksgiving in November and Christmas in December. So not a lot of people tend to make changes during this period of time. So this is something you could probably see every year during that time. Now, I gotta tell you, it's not that there's no activity, right? I have purchased and I've sold properties during that time. I've rented properties during that, those months. It just means probably a little bit slower activity altogether. So if you're a seller, you gotta be a little bit more patient. Okay, I got a hiccup on Facebook. Hopefully, that's still. Can you guys see me, hear me? If you can do a thumbs up, I got a little glitch here or refresh request, and I'm not sure what's going on. Yep, I was kicked out of Facebook. One, two, three. So I apologize for the hiccup. Facebook just kicked me out. I don't know what happened. First time this is happening. I'll wait. So bear with me while I wait for a few seconds while we resume. Thank you for the being patient. Those things do happen. Okay. Okay, so as I was saying, and I apologize for the hiccup, and thank you for being patient. As I was saying, we are seeing two kind of periods coming together. One is the season, right? Real estate tends to be slower during the winter months due to the holidays, due to the weather. Not everywhere the weather is harsh. So that's something we typically see. And again, I apologize for the hiccup with the live. And if you are a buyer, this is actually a good opportunity to be a buyer. I've done a lot of purchases during the winter because there's less competition. Tends to be, not always. The second thing that we're seeing, emerging patterns out there that we are seeing overall in multiple markets around the country is that we're seeing that there's a slowness in real estate activity, okay? Which translates not to a declining market. It could, but it's not necessarily what this is hinting. It's more showing us that houses are sitting a little bit longer, prices are stabilizing, and they're not continuing to move on, on the strong or fast or high acceleration price increase. There's probably still an increase, but instead of going fast up, it's probably going to continue to going slow up, okay? So there's probably a transition from a very strong seller's market that we have been experiencing for the past few years to a more relaxed market, maybe moving towards a little bit towards a buyer's market. Not seeing that, but maybe that's happening. Now, in my humble opinion, I don't think we're going into, and I could be wrong, of course, I don't think we're going to an economical downturn. Well, let me just say it this way. I don't know about that, but real estate-wise, unlike 10 years ago when we suffered the big crash, a lot of the things, real estate-wise, mortgages-wise, economy-wise, there are a lot of things that were done incorrectly that led to that crash. Okay. Subprime and bad lending practices. After the crash in the past 10 years, real estate is not as exposed. A lot of transactions were done in the past 10 years. Many transactions with cash. So that means much stronger, real estate purchases. Investors were buying with a higher down payment, 20% or 30%. And those loans for investors, so 5 and 10% down, no longer exist. So we got many, the mortgages out there has gotten to be a little bit more conservative, a little safer, even for homeowners. So altogether, the real estate is actually not in a bad, real estate, in terms of mortgages and exposure is not as in a bad, is not in a bad place as it was 10 years ago before the crash, 10 plus years ago. So that means real estate wise, we're not necessarily going into a real estate crash. I'm not suspecting that, but every once in a while we know that cycles in the economy, upturn and downturn are happening, and maybe we're going into one of those. Now, if you are someone who wants to buy real estate, here's a couple of things you want to keep in mind. Number one, I was always attracted to markets around the US that are strong economically, that have strong economical base. Because my assumption is that if I'm going to buy a rental property and hold it for 10, 15 years, we're definitely going to see one or two cycles of downturn. And when you're in a metro around the country that has a good economical base, a good local economy and strong and diversified, and it's showing growth in jobs and population, and in the real estate and the economy is rather stable, that will help you stay or purchase in a more stable place when that downturn hits. So you want to keep that in mind, and go into strong places, big metros, strong metros, diversified metros, and metros that are showing growth, right? Some investors are very attracted just to the number. I want to buy this $60,000 home in the middle of nowhere, or maybe not in the middle of nowhere, but not necessarily in a local strong economy, not realizing when the economy dips, this house will probably suffer, right? If you buy that house in a strong economy, surrounded by a strong economy, it will help. It will help you weather or pass through the hard time that will come. Now, more specifically, what can you do, right? So anytime the market is slowing down, is it for a seasonal reason or for economical trends reason, this is an opportunity for you to be a buyer, because that means you will probably have you probably have the upper hand. So you can track houses that have been sitting a little bit longer on the market and make lower offers. You can actually see houses that have been relisted again. All those information is out there. I would be very patient in the sense that I would, instead of just giving sellers what they're asking or close to what they're asking, I would say, what, I'd rather make a good deal. I'm probably going to need to make 15, 20 offers on houses that are sitting there for some time, hopefully to get one of them, maybe two, at a much lower price. When you buy with a lower price, obviously it not only affect your ROI, it also affects your property taxes, because your property taxes will be affected from the purchase price. So you wanna use those strategies during this time when there is a transitional phase and there's some uncertainty and there's a seasonal period. If you're a buyer, you wanna use that to your leverage and actually use that time to be a more aggressive buyer and try to find that property aggressive in the sense that making offers and maybe multiple offers on multiple properties until you get one until you make one good deal. A lot of investors just don't take the time to travel and do that. I understand it's not always easy. It's time consuming, but if you're in that position, I would suggest you consider doing that and going after houses that have been sitting for some time. Sitting for some time and making it work to your leverage. If you're a seller, that can be a difficult time to sell. I can tell you I have multiple properties out there on the market listed for sale, and I have a few more that are coming on the market. So it's not pleasant to be a seller in that period, but it means I need to be more aggressive with the pricing. I probably need to do better marketing, maybe staging, all of those things in order to help me sell. So it's definitely a challenge to be a seller in this period where we're talking about the winter months plus what's going on with the local economy. I see a question coming in. How do you find local economies outside of my area? Well, what I do, my rule of thumb is the following. Just to get started, I like to look for metros that are at least 2 million people population-wise and up. Go on Wikipedia, it will tell you, right? So many metros around the country will qualify for that. But for me, that's just not enough. That's a start. Usually when you have a metro that it's about 2 million people population and up, you're already in a strong economy to begin with. Not always, but probably you are just right there. Now, on the top of that, I like to go to states that are showing there's a demographic trend of growth going to those states. Primarily, we're talking about the west states of the United States, the southern states. The southern states of the United States are showing most of the growth. The growth patterns are coming from primarily the Midwest is kind of shrinking. Some of the Northeast is shrinking. West and South are the ones that are growing. So when you go to those, follow those trends, you will see that you're just you're going into areas that are already showing past growth and projected growth to the future, jobs and population. That's what we're looking for. It's hard to find that information. You got to spend time reading and researching. One of the things that I see investors are doing many times, they follow the herd. I'm going to buy a house in Boise, Idaho, right? Which, by the way, I'm just picking Boise, Idaho, out of nowhere. I like Boise, Idaho. There's nothing wrong with Boise, Idaho. But for my book of investing, it just doesn't qualify what I'm looking for, the local economy, the local size, the employment, and all of that. So I'm just using Boise, Idaho. Nothing wrong about Boise, Idaho. But as an example, I hear investors going to Boise and saying, okay, my friend went there, I should go there too, right? Why? I don't know if it makes any sense to do that, right? Maybe you have a specific deal, maybe you have a specific information. Real estate doesn't have inside info. If you know of, let's say Amazon is, HQ2 is going to Boise, which I don't think that's what's happening, and it's going there, well, that would be something like an inside info, though that doesn't really exist in real estate. So you need to do some research. I would say you have to first decide what you're looking for and what criteria you have before you determine how to find a metro to go to. Information is out there. It's hard to, time consuming to put all of it together, but definitely out there once you know what you're looking for. What I'm trying to say here is that use this period of time to be a buyer. Use this time to make, lower than asking offers, especially on houses that have been sitting there for some time. It may work to your favor. Don't use it as real estate is now uncertainty, or real estate is, we were not sure what to do. This is an opportunity for you to leverage and make more, as we say in real estate, you make money when you buy the property. So buy well. This, when markets are slow or there's slow activity, buyers have the upper hand. So that's what I'm trying to make, the point I'm trying to make. I am done with what I wanted to cover. I would love to take some of your questions regarding to the topic or regarding to real estate investing, at large. Hopefully I can answer them. I'm not an expert in every aspect of real estate investing, but I'm definitely going to try and do that. So I'm going to wait for another 20, 30 seconds and see if you have any questions to me regarding the topic or real estate investing. So I'm just gonna kill time with talking, so I'm still here, and I'm waiting for some questions. And if I don't have any more questions, we will do a wrap for today. And if we do, that'll be great. In the meanwhile, I'm just gonna say, if you're not sure what you want to do, or you're a little bit confused, or if you wanna have have a specific question or situation that you wanna run by, or not sure what to do, get in touch with us. No string attached. We'll do a 20, 30, 40 minutes call, depending on how extensive the topic. No charge. We'll see if there's something we can help you with, if we can be involved with your investments. We've been doing it for many years, helping a lot of investors invest. So by all means, just send us an email, or put a note in Facebook. I'm going to put the email here. And we'll be happy to see if we can even help you all together. I see there are no questions coming in. I want to thank you for taking the time. As I said, we do this every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, California time. And we record it in 3 channels, on Facebook, on YouTube, and down to our podcast. So this episode is going to be on the podcast and on YouTube probably within an hour or so. So you can consume it in those methods. And our website is simplydoit.net. Simplydoit.net. If you want to get in touch with us through the website or through the email, however suits you best. I hope you have a terrific rest of your day and also a great weekend. Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and have a terrific weekend. Bye-bye.